It's time. It's time. It's time for streaming idiots with no audio. Hey, I'm Tom Sinclair. I'm the chief streaming idiot, and we are majoring in idiocity, whatever the word is. We're majoring in it today. It's a fun day. Today we're going to talk about what to do when everything goes wrong. Talk a little bit about some of the things we've been testing with our PC, and talk a little bit about you. But the main concept behind this show is that two things really. One is one guy with one PC can do a pretty darn good broadcast. You don't have to have a whole room full of PCs. You don't have to have fancy camera equipment. You don't have to have a bunch of folks helping you on a broadcast. You can do a good broadcast all by yourself. So if you've got a passion for broadcasting, if you want to share your political views, or you want to share your community happenings, if you want to broadcast the local sports in your town, if you want to share your faith, you can do that all on your very own broadcast. All it takes is a PC, a camera, a mic. Well, I can go through the long list, but a lot of it is the want to. Do you have the desire to put that message out? And if you do, come along with us. We're going to have a lot of fun and talk about that stuff. Full disclosure, I am an authorized reseller for several different live streaming software packages, as well as design and build custom PCs. So we will refer to products and services that I offer as part of this show, and I'll make sure that's real clear when we do. When there's services and products that I don't offer, I'll be sure and point you in the right direction of where you can find those. A lot of things that we've tested over the years, some of which still have withstood the test of time. If you're just starting out and you want to get going for not a lot of money, one of the coolest ways to get, people ask me all the time, how do you get a camera into a computer? I can get the video out, it shows on my monitor, and I've got a handy cam, and it's got a USB cable that came with it, but it doesn't seem to do anything when I plug it into the PC. Well, there is a special capture device that's needed for USB. It's kind of goes under the generic name as an EasyCap, EasyCap, EasyCap. And if you'll go to our website, easternshorebroadcasting.com, and go to our streaming accessories, you can see some of the accessories, including the EasyCap, that we have used in the past and that we can give you a recommendation on, as well as a link to Amazon where you can buy them. We like Amazon because, number one, it gives us an affiliate commission, so full disclosure there. But number two, typically you're dealing with Amazon, and so you've got all the protections if something doesn't work right or if it doesn't ship right. You've got the protections that a big company like Amazon has. So take a look there at the streaming accessories. You'll find lots of things. You'll find mics and mic stands and mixers and all sorts of other cool stuff that are kind of the peripherals that you need when you're involved in streaming. For example, a low-cost camera would be a webcam like the Logitech C920. You can read my review there of the C920. In fact, sometimes we'll use two of those on this show. Today we've also got some folks with us in the chat room, some from Germany, some from Australia, some from England, and then a whole bunch from the good old USA. So we welcome all those guys. Glad to have you with us today. They sort of suffered through the pre-show with me as we talked about some of the issues that we've been having. And let me share one in particular, because if you're just starting out, you may bump into this one a time or two before you finally get it figured out. And here's the second saying that we've got here is that I get to make the mistakes so that you don't have to. So I'm hoping that you will learn from my mistake on this one. Mistake under the category of audio. Audio, good old audio. Audio is funny stuff. Audio, when done right, nobody notices because it's kind of assumed that audio will just be like, two people talking in a room. But audio really has a lot behind the scenes. And when you start involving computers with their own kind of physical audio connections, with mixers that have their physical audio connections, and then audio devices like in Windows, which are sort of software, and then we're using vMix today for this show, and it's got its own sort of audio mixing board. And you put all those different factors in together and kind of jumble them up a little bit, suddenly you get things that don't work right. But if you think of audio as a chain from the point of audio here to the end of audio for you here, all those links in that chain have to be working correctly and have to be working in concert with the other. For example, in last week's show, I had just built and am testing a new PC. It's sort of intended as a test bed so that we can test different cards, different capture cards and audio cards and all sorts of video cards and other cards. Currently now we're using the AJA Kona 4, which is a 4-port high-definition video capture card, SDI, and we've got some SDI to HDMI converters, or excuse me, HDMI to SDI converters that we're running our little Canon handy cams off of. And we've got, I think, an EVGA NVIDIA 750i video card there, so it's running a bunch of monitors for us. But audio-wise, we're using the audio that's built into the PC. Got on the front of the PC, there's a jack for a mic and a jack for a headphones. On the back of the PC, there's a line in, and then there are, I think, 3 different speaker out ports. And so we're using some of those. Plus, our mixer is a Behringer X1204 USB, I believe is the name model. And it connects also through USB. So we've got lots of different audio connections to the PC. A new PC, in this case for me, when I set up Windows, the audio devices portion, if you look in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see a little speaker icon, or you should. That means you've got audio. If you right-click that speaker icon, it'll pop up some menus, and you can go in and play with the different audio settings. But if I had a video, I could show you this, but I can't show it to you live, I'm afraid. So you'll have to take my word for it. But there's a section in each one of those called levels, and levels is where the volume control is. Now, this is not volume like the stereo at home or in your car or in your church where you're bumping it up and making it louder. This is the audio level that says you're getting 100% of the audio or you're getting less than 100% of the audio. So the percentage there is not in the sense that it's not amplifying the sound. 100% is just giving you 100% of whatever the audio level is. And in my new PC, my audio levels, both for the speakers and for the mics, were set. I think one of them was set at 22%, one of them was set at 65%. They were apparently arbitrarily set. And so my job, and I forgot to do it, but my job when I set up a new PC is to go in and bump all those up to 100%. Now there's something on some of them called mic boost. I don't use the mic boost, maybe I should, but I'm counting on other parts of the process to do the boosting if necessary. Right at the mixer. I'll show you. Let's see if I've got a shot of the mixer here. I can cue that up and show you. Yeah, here's my Behringer X1204 USB. And so when I've got my mics hooked up to it, I'll use the gain to get the mic set properly. And then I'm going to maybe bump it up a little bit with some of the EQ as necessary. And then my mic control right there will stay at 0. Whoop, and it wasn't at 0. You could hear that it bumped up just a tad right there. And so any amplification I'm going to use here on my mixer, I'm not going to ask Windows to do that for me so that I don't get in trouble later on. So last week's show was actually recorded at that lower audio volume. And as a result, it meant that the recording that you got to see on YouTube was lower, and if you watched the show live, it was lower as well. This week I was doing some testing this morning as we were getting ready for the show, and not remembering, keyword right down here, right? Idiots. Not remembering that last week's show had lower audio. I just popped it in as a quick audio-video test so that I could do some testing while I was streaming. And I noticed, oh, the volume's kind of low on this. Maybe I just need to tinker with the mixer or tinker with this or tinker with that. And I spent a lot of time playing with that before I finally realized, oh yeah, this is the recording from last week where the audio volume was low. And so when I switched to a different video that had a regular 100% audio level, all my audio problems were fixed. Not all of them, but some of them. The other audio issue that I've noticed, and you might notice this too if you're using the onboard audio that's part of your motherboard, is sometimes there will be an audio anomaly or an audio artifact as part of it. And let me see if I can reproduce this for you. So I'm going to drop my audio for just a second. And what you'll hear is dead air. And then I'm going to pull up the PC's connection to my mixer, and we'll see if it's there today. Hang on just a second. Okay, I don't know if you could hear that, but there was a series of clicks. It was like click, 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 click. And that is on the left channel of the speaker out on my new PC. Yeah, somebody in the chat room says, like, it's an old phonograph record that just finished its song. Well, maybe we could just say that, but it gets annoying if you're really paying attention to it. And that channel is the channel, that audio channel is the channel that I use. I'll cut over to it. This audio channel right here is a channel I use to bring in outside audio, that is audio from an audio source or audio from a video or audio from one of my guests that might be calling in on Skype. So I need to get that fixed so that my Skype guest next week doesn't have a bunch of click, click in his ear. And that is only on the left channel, and it's on every single one of the speaker outs on the new PC. It's on the microphone, it's on the headphones on the front, and then it's in all three of the speaker outputs on the back. So there's somewhere in my PC, there's a little bad something. I might have to go in and see if I can go into the motherboard, go to the motherboard manufacturer's website and see if there's a new driver for the audio, or maybe even an older driver for the audio. Sometimes going back in time can help fix that problem, but that's probably where it lies. If I can't fix it that way, then I'll have to come up with an alternate audio source. And the reason for multiple audio inputs, we're using USB for some of the audio that you'll hear in the show. We're using line in on the PC, which would be out from the mixer. But we'll also, when there's a Skype guest involved, we want to keep their audio separate from the other audios. So if we can mute that Skype guest while we're doing our intro that has audio in it, or something like that, so they don't feel like, if they cough or do something, personal body function, it won't be on the air. So that's why having multiple inputs into the PC, multiple inputs into the mixer, and then one audio output to the PC is important. Hope you haven't lost you with all that. So two problems that we've had with this new PC. One is that our audio devices in Windows weren't all turned up to 100%, which is absolutely essential. And the second is that the motherboard, the audio, onboard audio at the motherboard, has got a little artifact in it that we want to try to clear up. If I can't get that cleared up, I'm going to be putting a Blackmagic Intensity Pro card in this test bed as soon as I pull the Kona card out. And it has audio inputs and outputs on it, so we'll probably just pick up on one of those, and I know that those are pretty clean, and we can do that. If I didn't have this card, I would and I couldn't fix it with some sort of update from the motherboard manufacturer, I would probably have to resort to using a different audio input of some type. It might be, I've got 3 cameras that are in the studio today. All 3 of those cameras are connected to the PC, HDMI to SDI, and the audio is on board with all of those. So I guess in a jam, I could hook up one of the outputs from my PC to that camera and then pick up that camera audio and use that all the time. Not first choice. First choice would be fixing the onboard audio from the motherboard manufacturer. Second choice would be Intensity Pro. Third choice would probably be to go pick up an inexpensive sound card somewhere, and preferably one that had multiple inputs and multiple outputs, so that I had the ability to send and receive lots of different audios. For example, if I had 2 Skype guests and I would want to do a mix minus for each one of the guests individually, I would need to have multiple inputs into the PC in order to send those out on Skype. A tad confusing, and we've done some shows on that in the past, and you can have a look at that. Let's see, what else is news? So that's the audio issues that we were struggling with this morning that hopefully we have fixed up. We were also playing with VidBlaster, and I'm an authorized VidBlaster reseller. VidBlaster is in version 4.08 with 4.09 beta soon to be released to fix some problems that were introduced in 4.07 and 4.08. Actually, some problems in 4.07 were supposedly fixed in 4.08, but really weren't, so 4.09 should be coming up here pretty soon in order to fix those. It basically has, if you were installing the program and trying to register it and activate it, that process wasn't working. So fortunately, if you install it, put in a product key, it gives you 30 days before you have to register it, which VidBlaster calls activation. And so hopefully we will make it through that 30-day period, and we'll have a new version of VidBlaster to give a shot to, 4.09, hopefully shortly. Let's see what else with VidBlaster. Oh, we were testing the streamer this morning in VidBlaster, and hoping to actually do a whole show, a whole broadcast in VidBlaster without using other software. Our current broadcast scenario is that we're taking a live production software, either vMix or VidBlaster, and we're doing most of the production recording and streaming with that, but we have to have a little bit of help on occasion. Today's setup is vMix is our main production software. We are streaming a 720 stream with it to Decast's flash service, and we're recording. We're also outputting a virtual video feed that VidBlaster is picking up, and VidBlaster is set for 180p, and it is broadcasting 180p to Decast's HTML5 servers, which are out in Kansas City. And we do 2 streams, one for the folks that have the capacity to do high definition, which is I think 2500K BPS just on video, and then the low stream, the 180p stream, for folks that are watching us on their phones or have a slower internet connection. VidBlaster has the capacity to do both of those simultaneously, to send one feed at one bit rate and resolution to one server, and another feed, which is the same video but a different resolution and different bit rate, to another server. The problem seemed to be today, and we have to research this a little bit more, is that our 720p feed from VidBlaster buffered. When it got to Decast somehow didn't like some part of it, and so it buffered. And the video would buffer, and the audio was garbled. And so we tried that. We tried that at 720p, 2500 kbps, 3000 kbps, 1500 and 1000. VidBlaster also gives you the ability to use low, medium, or high compression. Basically, it's some settings that are predetermined in FFmpeg, the streaming engine kind of behind VidBlaster. And FFmpeg at both low, medium, and high. Low, obviously, because low compression is going to mean that you're probably going to buffer. But low, medium, and high compression, all three buffered. And then, in fact, when we dropped the resolution back to 480 in VidBlaster, even 480 was buffering with Decast today. So we weren't able to, I had hoped to be able to do that whole show with just VidBlaster doing both streams, the 720 stream and the 180 stream, and doing the recording. In the past, the times we've done that, we haven't had the buffering issue, but we did have a quality issue, because even though the CPU wasn't, it was between 60 and 75%, even which I consider sort of acceptable. Even then, it wasn't able to do a good, smooth, steady stream. It was a little choppy, like the frame rate had dropped down from 30 to maybe 20 or 15. So we try to avoid that whenever we can. So I think last week we offloaded the 720p stream from VidBlaster to vMix and had vMix broadcast that one. Today we've chosen to do the Streaming Idiot show only today, and so we've got vMix doing the 720p feed. But vMix is configured a little differently than VidBlaster so far as streaming is concerned. vMix will allow you to stream to different servers, but it has to be the same resolution and bit rate. So I could stream to my Flash server with vMix at 720p, but if I wanted to stream to my HTML5 server with vMix at the same time, it would have to be 720 also. It couldn't be 180. So, that it doesn't solve the problem. The whole idea was to give folks, different bit rate options, not different server options. So when and that's with FFmpeg. With Flash Media Live Encoder, which is the other alternative streaming engine behind vMix, you stream to the same server, but at different bit rates. And so I guess we could have done that one. I didn't think about that one. But we have the 180 feed set up for HTML5, so we couldn't have done that. So basically, VidBlaster was the only software today that would do what had the capability to do what we wanted to do, but it wasn't. For some reason, it wasn't pulling it off. Now, whether it's because my PC is not powerful enough, VidBlaster doesn't make use of the GPU to do a lot of the processing like vMix does. And by the way, I'm a vMix reseller also. And so, but vMix doesn't have the ability to stream to two different servers simultaneously. Now, perhaps that'll be offered in vMix 16, which is due out shortly. If not, I'm going to put it in as a feature request, because I think number one, it should be fairly easy to implement, because all the pieces are there. They're just not assembled in the right puzzle. And perhaps again, Martin Sinclair, perhaps relation, perhaps not, who's the developer of vMix. Perhaps Martin just doesn't want to tax or give folks an opportunity to tax their PCs so much by having two different instances of FFmpeg running at the same time. It was kind of interesting this morning when I was testing VidBlaster with two streamer modules, one for 720p, one for 180p, and then recording. And if you were watching earlier, you saw some of those test streams. And I looked in Windows Task Manager to see how my CPU usage was going and which of the softwares were using, how much CPU usage they were using. I noticed, there was VidBlaster listed, and then there was FFmpeg, and then there was a second instance of FFmpeg, and then there was a third instance of FFmpeg. And that's when I realized that two of those instances were for streaming, and the fourth one was for recording. So VidBlaster is using FFmpeg as its recorder as well. And the recorder was using, 1 or 2% CPU. So that was really nice to see. I also did notice, and this is just kind of a FYI, because you may notice it or it may be a problem for you at some point. When I started the streamers on VidBlaster and when I started the recorders on VidBlaster, the CPU spiked just momentarily and then came back down. Well, not quite as low. And then each time I would start another stream, it would spike and then come down again, but not quite as low. And so it averaged out to maybe 70 to 80% CPU at that point, all VidBlaster with 720, 180, and a recording of 720. Currently, we're recording 720 in vMix. We're streaming 720 in vMix. We're outputting video from vMix to VidBlaster for 180, and VidBlaster is streaming 180, and the CPU is sitting between 45 and 46, 42, 47, 48, 51. So sitting at about 50%, which is pretty decent. So in terms of the one man, one PC rule, we've got one man with one PC sending out two streams, one high resolution, one low resolution, and recording a high resolution stream. So that's kind of been my holy grail of broadcasting, is to be able to do that on a quad core PC. And as holy grails go, with the advent of the new 6-core processors from Intel, for about the same price as some of the old quad cores, we can tell that the CPU is not going to be as much of an issue going forward, and therefore it may end up with that VidBlaster performs a little bit better under those circumstances. The EVGA NVIDIA 750 card that's in this PC is intended for use with vMix, and vMix is making some good use of it. So, I didn't breathe during that whole monologue. Can you believe it? That's the latest adventures that we're up to here today. I do want to apologize, and I should have made this clear at the beginning of the show, that our guest for today, Eric Norell with AJA Video Systems, the makers of the Kona 4 card, called in earlier today and said he wasn't going to be able to make it. He had a personal health issue that he had to deal with, and so we certainly wish him well. We'll keep Eric in our prayers and hope that he has no lingering side effects from that. And I haven't heard back from him yet, but I'm hoping that he will be on the show next week. I did tell him that I wasn't going to send his Kona 4 card back to him until he came on the show to help me sort of give it a full demonstration, because it's got lots of bells and whistles that I couldn't possibly explain to you how they work. But I do know that I was able to put it in my PC, plug cameras into it, and it worked the first time. So that's kind of the acid test for me. So let's look forward to Eric next week on Streaming Idiots, and let's look forward to hopefully a new beta release of VidBlaster 4.09 by next week, so we can make sure it's fixed its resolution issues. Let's see what else. Covering all the bases here. Yep. So if I can help you with VidBlaster or vMix, please feel free to visit our website or go to the website and pick up the phone number and give me a call, especially if you've got an unusual installation, you're not sure. Most all the softwares will come with a trial of some sort, either a free trial or an unlimited trial with a watermark, and so you can test it. And if it's something that you would have to purchase in order to test, well, maybe I've already purchased it. I've certainly bought a lot of hardware over the years and found out a lot of things that work, and I've found a lot of things that don't work. I don't know it all, but what I do know, I seem to relearn on a daily basis. So anyway, that probably is to your advantage too. And we're really happy. We've got one custom PC build. Well, actually, one on the boards right now of our own. That's our portable that we're building, and another one for a church in Arkansas that will be starting shortly, and several that we're quoting. So it's kind of a busy little custom PC time. Also want to tell you about our quick ship program starting in the 1st of August. We will have pre-configured streaming PCs already built and sitting on the shelf, ready to be shipped to you, even overnight if you can pay for it. Prices start at I think $19.99. That would be better. $19.99 for a single camera streaming PC plus your choice of software, and we'll have that more available later. There'll be a link from Eastern Shore Broadcasting, but I think it's going to be churchstreamingpc.com. It's intended for churches that need PCs and don't really know where to start. So we've tested a whole bunch of cards and stuff. So we feel real confident that we can ship you a PC in a short period of time that you can plug in and teach your volunteers how to use with a really low learning curve. That's the goal. That's the goal. Anyway, I think that brings us to about the end of the show. I am delighted that you would be with us today for any part of this show. I'm also delighted that, what else am I delighted about? I'm delighted that I can get out of this show in one piece. So it has been a pleasure to be with you. I hope you'll tune in again next week, next Wednesday at 3 o'clock Eastern for another exciting episode of Streaming Idiots. I'm Tom Sinclair, and I look forward to seeing you again later, so take care. This is where the music would be if we had music. Dun 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 dun. Bye now.